6:46. The goal is to stop at 7:15. We'll see how it goes. I just wanted you all to be mindful of the time. We do have Interim Director Velvet Hunter with us, and her team has surpassed my 3-person maximum, so I'm going to allow her to
Thank you.
I'm going to allow her to introduce her team.
Well, good evening, Madam Chair and council members. My name is Velvet Hunter, and I currently serve as the Interim Director of the Department of General Services. With me today is Laurel Creech, Assistant Director of Sustainability, and Stacy Wall, Assistant Director for Fleet Management, and Diana Atwood, Finance Manager. And in the audience is Mike Leonard, Assistant Director for Design and Construction, and Randall Jones, Assistant Director for Building Operations. I would like to express my appreciation for the dedication and hard work of General Services employees who work behind the scenes every day to support Metro agencies. They are a knowledgeable and talented group of individuals, and it is an honor to work with them. I'm also appreciative of the Mayor's proposal to support our employees with pay increases and for the support of our budget request this year. I'll start with an overview of our divisions and our budget request. The Division of Building Operations is responsible for the day-to-day management, general and preventive maintenance, and repair of 93 Metro facilities, totaling 3.5 million square feet. This team responded to almost 20,000 work orders this year. Our budget request for building operations includes $194,000 for contractual rate increases and enables us to maintain current service levels. In our Division of Building Design and Construction, the ADA compliance team reviews new construction and rehabilitation of existing facilities on Metro property. We're pleased to report that all Metro facility projects closed this year were compliant with the ADA. New fire halls were opened in Bellevue and Hermitage this year. Repairs to the tornado-damaged historic Fire Station 14 in East Nashville were recently completed, allowing staff to move back in. And as Sheriff Hall reported to you last week, he and his staff started the process of moving into their new headquarters last week. We're progressing nicely through the design phase for the Donaldson Branch Library and for a permanent supportive housing project, which will include approximately 81 housing units. We're working on procurement documents for a downtown Fire Station 2 and the new 9th Police Precinct, the Southeast Precinct. Planning for a new emergency communications center on the campus with the Southeast Precinct is underway. And site selection for a juvenile justice campus and a new Woodbine Health Clinic is a top priority. In addition to the larger construction projects I've just mentioned, our team provides small-scale design, relocation, and project coordination services. Our budget request to provide salary and fringe funding for 4 positions will enable us to provide these services to Metro agencies in a timely manner. These 4 positions are partially capitally funded at this time and are not new or additional positions for general services. Our Division of Sustainability staff works closely with all divisions of general services on sustainability strategies and practices. The team produces an annual high-performance building report, and for the 21 high-performance buildings reviewed in 2019, General Services avoided energy cost of more than $589,000 and more than 11 million gallons of water compared to the non-LEED comparable buildings. Socket is our sustainability outreach and education program that includes an interactive website, blogs, and events such as the recent Kids Art Contest in partnership with the Public Library. Through Socket, we're in our 3rd year of partnership with the Department of Human Resources to offer tours of Metro programs, a program we call Metro Connect. This year was different as tours were provided via WebEx, and we had the most participants ever. This year we toured Metro Archives, the Family Safety Center, the new Bellevue Fire Hall, Fleet Management, Public Works Composting, and the Warner Parks Nature Center. A highlight of this year is the partnership with Vanderbilt to procure 100 megawatts of solar through the TVA Green Invest program. This is one of the largest renewable energy projects in the Southeast and brings Metro 1/3 of the way to the goal of 100% renewable energy for Metro. Our proposed budget includes 2 additional FTEs for sustainability. It includes a renewable energy specialist who will be tasked with developing a strategy to meet the goals of the renewable portfolio standard throughout Metro. This position will also manage the Green Invest project, as well as research and report on how to increase renewable energy on existing and new construction facilities. The second position is an energy performance specialist who will manage the energy retrofit program and revolving fund toward the goal of reducing energy use by at least 20% by 2024. In our Division of Administration, the Postal Services team didn't miss a beat in delivering the mail to Metro agencies through COVID, snow, ice, and loss of power due to storms, and the same can be said for eBid, Metro's online auction for surplus property. We suspended auctions for a few weeks due to COVID, but the team kept picking up surplus items from Metro agency. Our Division of Fleet Management manages over 3,600 vehicles and pieces of equipment from procurement through disposal. We operate 4 fuel sites and manage the fuel card program, which allows agencies to purchase fuel from retail stores. And thanks to the good planning from this team, our fuel supply remained high throughout the recent pipeline shutdown. The overall average age of Metro's fleet is at 8.7 years, and the average age for public safety vehicles, which make up about a third of the total fleet, is a little less at 6.9 years. It would take an investment of about $100 million to replace all the vehicles which meet replacement criteria based on age and/or mileage. The recent capital and 4% funding for vehicles, thanks to Mayor Cooper and to this council, will be a tremendous help in addressing the aging fleet. The fiscal year 21 capital funding of $25 million for heavy equipment allowed us to purchase 79 vehicles and pieces of equipment, including 31 units for fire and 33 units for public works. The 4% allocations this year allowed us to purchase 91 vehicles, including 63 for the police department. We continue to progress toward greening Metro's fleet. We have 12 electric vehicles and 3 more have been ordered. We have 231 hybrid vehicles, including 188 in the police department, and we continue to explore opportunities to add charging stations to make electric vehicles more accessible to Metro agencies. Our budget request for fleet includes $1,007,400 for fuel, maintenance, and repair costs for 135 additional vehicles for various Metro agencies, including 38 hybrid pursuit vehicles for the new 9th Police Precinct, 3 ladder trucks, 3 engines, and 3 ambulances for the fire department, and 43 units for public works. Thank you all for your support, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Councilwoman Sepulveda.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for recognizing me, even though I am not on this committee. I had a question. So you all are tasked with the maintenance of Metro property, Metro building, correct?
A good portion of them, 93 of them, yes.
Would the juvenile court fall under y'all?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about their maintenance? Because we have had them come before the council and report to us of some unsanitary conditions where they had feces on the wall and, you know, on the floor and leaks. And if you could talk a little bit about that, that would be great. Because we are interested in what their current maintenance looks like while we talk about potentially funding a new building for them.
Yes, thank you for asking that question. We have made several maintenance improvements at the Juvenile Justice Center over the past few months. Probably the most important ones are that we installed hooks and grinders for the plumbing system, and I believe we've remedied all the plumbing issues at that facility now. Other improvements include replacing the boilers, the chillers, and so I think that Judge Callaway and her team would tell you that they're in good shape now in terms of maintenance of that facility.
Okay. So in your opinion, would the current facility be better right now or having them relocated to a new facility, in your expert opinion?
Well, we are in discussions with Judge Callaway and her team right now to explore a new sites, and she is looking at a campus kind of environment. So that is a plan for a new juvenile justice center with active looking for a site for that right now.
Great, thank you.
Councilwoman Porterfield?
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Somewhat of a follow-up to my colleague's question. Are you all responsible for the upkeep of the fire halls?
Some.
Okay, how is it differentiated? I know there have been some concerns about some of the upkeep with the fire halls and, making sure that that is being taken care of. So how is it determined which halls you all take care of?
In general, we maintain the new fire halls as our department did design and construction of the new halls, and they come online, then we take over building management and maintenance of the new ones.
Okay, thank you. I'll follow up with the rest of my questions offline. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Henderson?
Thank you, Chair Toombs. I wanted to ask, in that same sustainability space, I believe you all had a tree-specific position regarding kind of tree planting and maintenance on Metro Public. And based in your kind of staff listing here, I'm wondering, is that position unfilled? Do you contemplate keeping that position? Can you speak to that?
We had a position dedicated to managing our landscape management for all of our properties. And that position is currently vacant, but we are planning to hire for that position. But fortunately, we have Laurel, who, as you know, represents General Services on the Metro Tree Review Panel, which meets monthly, and she makes sure that we protect the trees we have, and she's involved in all construction meetings to make sure that we're thinking about trees with the goal of leading by example and with the understanding that we need to exceed the tree density from above what is required of private construction.
I appreciate that. And particular to those kind of requirements and sustaining our investment that we've already made in trees, when we build a Metro facility, just from an irrigation standpoint or contracted watering, I mean, are we making sure, like, say the new jail over here and all those trees that have gone in and we're going through a period of drought, I mean, are those irrigated? Are we kind of partnering with our other Metro agencies to get them watered? How are we, can you kind of just sort of speak to how we're dealing with that operationally?
Yeah, we really take care of those and keep a close eye on those for the first 2 years. If there's anything specific that you'd like to add, but.
That's true, that one's Parks who manages
Yeah.
that specific one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess my question is,
Yeah,
are they
she's just bringing
irrigated
up that
or?
the criminal justice center specifically is not ours to manage, but in general for our
Apologize,
projects, yeah.
Okay, but so then does it just run the gamut, whether they're irrigated versus contracted services to water them, or is it just kind of a mixed menu of what?
It is a mixed menu.
Okay. Are we kind of just looking at that strategically about how we're managing that? Or, I mean, I'm just wondering from a utilities cost, right? Like, I mean, do we irrigate these Metro facilities to make sure, or are we doing contracted watering, or are we using Metro to water them? for
Sure, so as you know, the first 2 years of a tree planting is the essential time that we need to make sure that we're watering and caring for our trees. So for our new facilities, we determine if it makes sense to put irrigation in or not. Some facilities doesn't necessarily make sense for the expense and the upkeep. Some facilities it does. Regardless, we do contract out with our vendors to ensure that those trees are being watered for the first 2 years of its life. And we stay on top of that to make sure that the life of those trees that were planted, the newly planted trees, are stable and continue throughout that. And then after that 2-year period, they're then turned over to us. And then we continue to manage and maintain them like we do our other existing facilities.
Okay, I appreciate that clarification. And then also in the sustainability space, you mentioned socket and those educational efforts. Can you speak to, I see, while I commend those educational efforts, I see a little bit of kind of, not necessarily redundancy, but overlap, let's say, and rightly so, in water and public works, and some of those kind of communication and education efforts. And I think you mentioned your, online tours, and those are great. And Public Works has done a lot of good work in the sustainability space about kind of online programming, and my constituents have really appreciated that. But I wonder, so the socket effort is, that just one person in communications that makes sure to communicate around that, or because there's a lot of that sort of sustainability communication happening out of Public Works, and I just wonder, kind of having that extra position there, is that more about interacting with your own actual Metro facilities to make sure they're doing sustainable, or is it more about the public outreach? Because, I mean, again, just respectfully, but if you look at your kind of social media following particular to Socket, I mean, it's pretty low, and I just wonder about that, if you could speak to that sort of Socket initiative.
Sure. So the Socket program ended up being birthed out of the fact that many of our Metro employees are working in LEED facilities, the Leadership in Energy and Environment. And so we determined that it would be important for our employees to be educated on what a LEED building means and how to conserve energy and water and what the automated system is and reducing waste and things like that. So that's how Socket was birthed. And as Socket continued to develop, it expanded beyond that because not only were Metro employees interested in learning about that, but beyond that, the general public. I would say that our primary focus is around energy conservation in the built environment, which is our #2 greenhouse gas emitter for our city of Metro, Nashville. And then for just Metro operations, it's #1 in terms of greenhouse gas emissions. So we really try to hone in specifically on energy conservation and renewable energy and workshops around that. However, in the workplace, it's much more robust, and that's why you see Socket incorporating many other entities. And then we try to partner with Public Works and Water Services as much as we can in their education outreach as well.
So from a staffing perspective, is Socket one person, 2 people, 3 people? Then there's people in Public Works and people in Water. Can you just sort of quantify how many people? And I understand Socket has a particular initiative related to building emissions, but there's just, I just want to kind of assess that space and how many people are addressing it.
Sure. So we have one full-time person on my staff who runs the Socket Education Outreach Program, which includes all that I mentioned, Metro employees and education and outreach. So one individual.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Allen?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you all for taking care of our buildings and all the focus on energy conservation. There was a line item that said $508,000 that's not in your budget this year because of energy savings. Is that just, we know we don't have to spend that and therefore it's not in our budget? I think I can tell you that it's the general services at a glance about the first item there.
That was our, Metro agencies were asked to propose a 2% budget reduction and what that might look like. So we looked at our utility expenses over a number of years and are able to take that cut from utilities without any impact.
Great, just because you know you're doing it already.
Yep.
Good. And I think Mike Leonard back there is probably part of the reason for that. He's amazing. And then my second question was related to the fleet. We just heard from Codes Department how they are able to do their inspections a whole lot more efficiently because of this car rental program. And I'm just wondering how we decide when to own a car or whether rental makes more sense or whatever. What's the process y'all go through to decide when we own them and when we rent them?
Well, we are so pleased that it's been so successful for Codes. That's a great story. And we started with Codes as a pilot because they had old vehicles and they didn't have enough vehicles. So they were the perfect group to do that. So we continue to look for other agencies that might work well with. Just in terms of they don't have enough, and the rental program through Enterprise, it's a state contract, would be a good fit.
And that's a net savings in renting those as opposed to owning? Is there an analysis of that piece of it in addition to the speed?
The vehicles that they rent through Enterprise are new. By policy, Enterprise just keeps newer vehicles maybe than Metro does. So it's not really a savings in terms of the rental. I think what Codes would tell you is in terms of the revenue they can generate, it's a really good deal for Metro.
All right, we are at 7:06. I am scanning the room, looking for additional questions. Seeing no hands, thank you so much, Director Hunter and crew. We appreciate you coming and answering our questions.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.